Thanks so much to everyone here at SALT and to Krome for spontaneously inviting me because I was in town. And it's really nice to be here and do this. And I'm going to do this somewhat casually, given that I was invited a little more than 24 hours ago. So I hope you'll appreciate the kind of associative nature of this talk. And in some ways, this is a talk, but it's also me showing excerpts from works that relate to this title about plagiarism or on plagiarism. But I also hope that we can open it up just for questions and a discussion both in between, but mainly at the end. So I'm going to show some works in excerpt, and I'm hoping to show you something also in its entirety, which is always kind of a treat and something nice to do. But to start to talk about plagiarism, I'm so short, so go into that. Okay. So plagiarism, as you all might have known or been afraid of, is often defined as wrongful appropriation, kind of close imitation, purloining or stealing of another author's work, another author's ideas, text, expression. And it's often located in this literary construction that it comes from the appropriation of the text, which is very important to me because my work often uses fixed materials or uses things like cinema, photographs, documents, things that we don't normally think of as necessarily text, and it treats them as texts to appropriate, texts to reperform, as it were. It treats photographs and documents, and particularly cinema itself and the history of cinema, almost like a musical score or a theater piece, something that deserves to be reprised, or something that in its reprise, not of the original, but in a kind of remake, something new might be born, either in the difference between the two or in the relationship between the two, that there's another kind of cinematic montage that's going to unfold between the original and this kind of reprise or remake or completely plagiarized work that I'm making. So I'll start by showing you actually a little bit from a 2-channel video installation called Berlin Remake. This is an installation view from the Hayward Gallery in London. And what you have here, just so you're clear, is on the right are always scenes, small moments from East German film studio films. And on the left, you have my remake of them. And they're working in tandem. So again, on the right, you have a scene, and they're all the scenes that I've chosen have been filmed, they're exteriors around former East Berlin. And this piece is 2005, and this is where I really started working with this idea of using cinema as a text to kind of perform. Because I'm somebody who likes to go, if I go to the theater and I'm interested in a play, I usually go several times to the same play on different nights or different afternoons. I'm interested in seeing the same thing over and over again and seeing what differences come from its reprise every other day, let's say, or every other performance, as it were. But film is fixed. It doesn't have that theatrical variation. So I'm interested in what happens when you start to introduce variation, or what gets born between the two. So I'll show you an excerpt from that.
Der Schwerpunkt der Kampfhandlungen lag auf den Bremen, mit schweren und verlustreichen Straßenkämpfen, was die militärischen Einbrüche ins Stadtgebiet erweitern. Aus dem aufstürzenden Walde stieg unser Verbände im Angriff nach Westen in die tiefe Flanke der im Süden von Berlin operierenden Bolschewisten. Die Straße war Ost-Zossen, wurde genommen. Unsere im Westen schwungvoll angreifenden jungen Divisionen erreichten den Ort von Belitz. und stehen doch in schweren Wettkämpfen mit den Sowjets. Im Raum Stettin und Prenzlau konnten die Sowjets weiterhin Boden gewinnen. Die Schlacht in Berlin. Im Mittelpunkt stand auch gestern die Schlacht um Berlin. Schulter an Schulter mit allen waffenfähigen Männern führten unsere Truppen einen heldischen Kampf gegen den bolschewistischen Massenansturm. Schwerste Kämpfe entbrannten um den Raum Tiergarten als Moabit. Sie hörten den Bericht des Oberkommandos der Wehrmacht.
Wo ist denn hier ein Bäcker?
Da,
Wo da?
nach 2 Ecke links.
Und ein Fleischer?
Gegenüber vom Bäcker.
1000 Dank. Und ein Blumenladen?
Gibt's hier nicht.
Sprichst du nicht so gerne, oder?
Nee,
Isst du denn wenigstens keine Bonbons?
nee.
Trifft sich gut, ich habe auch keine.
For the most part, these are fiction films, and these are their exterior scenes, the scenes that invade the real life of the city. But I'm actually treating them not like fiction films at all. I'm treating them like documents, really. So in a way, they kind of migrate from being fiction films into documents of space and of time and a kind of historical moment in that respect. And the camera choreography that my camera performs that's really the actor or the performer in this sense. And that is part of why I didn't want to have performers in mind. I really wanted the spaces to sort of perform themselves or perform a kind of, I find some of the moments very uncanny, that there's a kind of presence of absence in the relationship between the two, a kind of layer of history underneath that is suddenly visible between them. However, I have complicated this, of course, by also staging small things to create some visual echoes and so forth. So my own kind of document, or let's say documentary or nonfiction mode, which is of course a highly questionable mode, has in fact small fictions inside of it. So this notion of reprise is actually not necessarily limited to space and architecture, but I'll come back to that shortly, but is also extended to persona, historical persona, literary persona, cultural persona. That's very tiny. Can you see that? Can anyone, do you guys recognize any of these people in the photographs, or like what this genre of collection of photographs are? If you were going to name a genre here, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, well, I'll give you a couple of them. So you probably recognize Susan Sontag up in the far left corner. And that's Hannah Arendt, kind of below her, bigger with the, most of them are holding cigarettes. And let's see if I can do this. That's me. And so I got very interested in author photos and the sorts of attachments that one can have to author. I mean, I'm certainly very attached to author photos and spend a lot of time looking at them when I'm reading a book that's important to me, and give a lot of consideration and projected fantasy into every single bit of that author photo. And so I did this, this was a publication project for a journal called Input. And so on the first page you had this, and then you sort of, these are the first 2 pages held open like this, and then you turn the page, and it's this. And the piece is called Author. So again, there's a kind of doubling, but it's not exactly simultaneous, it's temporal. You have to turn the page.